had an old metal filing cabinet that I didn't want to just toss away. First thing I did though was take the heavy drawers out. I'm going to probably save those later for another project, but these little metal pieces, they can go. They don't need those. Next, I'm going to take that filing cabinet. It's super light now, and I'm going to turn it over and use the back of my hammer. I'm going to put some drain holes in the bottom. If you've had a stressful day, this is a great activity. Next, because it's so much lighter, I can turn it back over and I'm going to start priming it. I'm going to use a gray primer instead of white. I love how much it covers, and the great thing about it is if there's any rust marks, this gray primer will cover it all the way up. Once I get that up, it's okay to let it start drying, and I'm going to start cutting some timber up. I use these 2x3s. They're perfect to build a trellis in the back. And I'm also going to use my Kreg jig because it's great for pocket holes. These pocket holes are nice because they hide the screw once you put them in, and they're super strong. What I'm going to do is lay these out, these boards, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Kreg jig pockets that come with them and put them in place. Once I get them all screwed in, the actual screws are hidden and you won't see them, especially being on the back side. It also makes them super strong. Once I get this thing built, then it's time to go ahead and lay out the trellis. I'm not going to need all of this, so I'm going to mark it, the width of the boards that I cut, and then I'm going to use my jigsaw to cut straight through. This trellis is vinyl and it's easy to cut. And then I'm going to take the trellis and then put it down and use staples to adhere it. I don't need to put any glue or anything. Staples are going to make it really strong and hold it in place. You can use screws if you need to, but staples will be just fine. Then I'm going to turn it back over, and I need to go ahead and attach the cabinet to the trellis. Just pre-drill and put some screws in there to hold it in place. Next, it's time for some paint. You want to get some good quality, and instead of brushing it on, I had this paint sprayer that I'm going to use. As you can see, look at how fine the spray is. I actually almost got this done with one coat. Once I put it on, make sure you're outside and that it doesn't watch out for the overspray. Once I get it on, I'm going to go ahead and paint the trellis also. And I did do 2 coats because it was white and it needed that second coat. Now it's time to put it in place, and I'm going to go ahead and put some filler in. I have some of these pine shavings from another project, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it up. And then once I got it full, it's time to put the plants in. That's why we put the bottom holes in, just in case when we go to water, it gives it something to seep out. I'm going to put these plants in place, use the pine filler to fill it up around the edges, and look at this project. It's so wonderful. I love how it looks. Instead of throwing that metal away, I was able to repurpose it with the trellis in the back and make it look super cool. And once the plants start to grow, they're going to grow up over the sides and up the trellis. I think this thing turned out super cool. I hope this inspired you to go ahead and upcycle and recycle any furniture or materials that you have. And now a word from today's sponsor. Let's have a real talk about something that affects us all: inflation. Prices seem to keep going up. Groceries, utilities, and yes, even gas. But amidst all this economic uncertainty, there's a bright spot: the free Upside app. With Upside, you can actually make the most out of every trip to the gas station. Here's how. While prices at the pump may be rising, Upside helps you fight back by earning cash on every fill-up. Imagine, every time you're faced with the pain of high gas prices, Upside is there to soften the blow. It's like a little financial boost right when you need it most. Using the free Upside app is so easy. I downloaded the app, entered my credit card number, chose the closest gas station, and claimed the offer. Once you fill up your car, just wait, and the money you earn will appear in your account. With my special offer, I already earn money that I can put right into my account. Upside works at many different locations, such as Arco, Chevron, Valero, and 7-Eleven, just to name a few. There are over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app. Top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. To find out how much you can earn, click the link in the description to download Upside and use code HOMETALK to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. Or scan the QR code here to claim this offer. Start making your money work harder for you. Now back to the DIYs.
I'm going to give the surface of the cabinet a quick sanding. I'm going to paint the cabinet with some creamy white chalk paint. I'm going to brush on a layer of decoupage glue and then lay on my paper. So I'm going to use my hands to flatten it out. I want to slice off the rest of the paper and want to give it one final coat of the decoupage glue. I can use a sanding block to gently take off any excess. I want to also remove the paper from those. I'm going to finish it all off with a coat of wax. My filing cabinet looks incredible now.
We're going to save this shutter from a drizzly day. Just sand all the edges, so just use some spackle, cover all the holes. I grabbed some gray primer and just started painting. It's always better to do 2 or 3 light coats, and on the top we went to the very middle and we're going to put some hooks. Next, I need to have a whiteboard. I grabbed a little bit of extra epoxy glue that I had laying around, and then I lay it out right underneath where the whiteboard's going to go. Next, I grabbed this little Home Sweet Home bucket that I got, grabbed the pliers, bent the hook, and a little extra of the epoxy that I had, and put it right on the back. That is just going to go ahead and clamp it right there with a clothespin and hold it on. While that's drying, I want to get some twine, so just go ahead and put a knot in it. I'm going to put it through a small clothespin that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. Then I'm going to go ahead and just clip it right onto the shutters. Next, we got to hang the shutter itself, and just look at this amazing project. I can hang my keys, leave notes.
I'm going to rip down all the fabric off of my lampshade. So I'm going to take it outside and give it a quick spray paint. And then after that, I decided I needed to spray paint one more thing. And that was a mason jar sealing part of the lid that I'm going to use later on. I'm going to take this wood slice. I'm going to give this a good coat of sealer. I'm also going to do like the live edges. And once that's all sealed, it's going to be time to grab that mason jar lid and drill a tiny hole in the middle. And now it's time to assemble. I have some E6000 industrial glue that I'm putting in a little hole where like a finial for a lamp would go. And that's where I'm going to kind of adhere that mason jar sealer. I'm going to put some more E6000 glue along the rim here. So I'll go ahead and set that down. Got it in place. And now it's time to drill. It's all good. Going to flip it up, give you a look at it. Thinking if you had a bigger lampshade, this really would make a precious side table.
Found a filing cabinet on the side of the road for free. I washed it down. Next, I removed all the hardware. We bought 2 stair bolsters. We started by measuring them against the filing cabinet, marking them. We cut them with our saw. My husband pre-drilled the holes in the board. He used the drill to place the screw through the board. We used some putty to cover the screws. I used my sander to sand down the putty. You start by dry brushing on the white glaze and then wiping with a paper towel as you go. You do the same with the brown glaze. I painted the filing cabinet Dixie Belle blue paint. I'm loving my new DIY table.
To start this project, I want to remove everything but the main section of this lamp. I'm going to add the glue to each of the joints and then leave it all to dry. I found these signs at the dollar store. I'm going to add a thinner wood round. A little wood glue will hold this into place perfectly. I'm going to find the middle and use the top of the lamp to trace a little circle. I'm ready to paint. I'm going to use the white chalky paint to cover both the base of the lamp and the wood. I want to attach the wood top to the lamp. The circle that I drew before is going to help me so that the lamp is correctly centered. Add some glue and then I can join them together and it'll be nice and solid. How cute is this little table?
The next time you are at a thrift store, pick up some inexpensive wicker baskets. Dip the paintbrush in the paint and then pounce. Take the brush and lightly brush the paint onto the basket in the main direction of the basket weave. This basket finish looks fantastic, styled with flowers or green plants. Take a wicker basket with a very light finish. Spray paint the basket in light layers with an oil-rubbed bronze color. Let the basket dry completely. Paint in light layers. You will notice that the paint dries very fast between layers because there is actually very little paint used. I hope this inspired you to give inexpensive wicker baskets an updated look with paint.
First, we're going to spray paint. I'm using Rust-Oleum Satin Heirloom White and Rust-Oleum Stone. We're going to take some painter's tape. You kind of want to rough tear one edge of it. We're going to put this along the bottom. I'm using a craft paint and I'm just using brushed gold. You kind of want to make it look like the paint is kind of tearing and you can see underneath it. All right, so here's the finished product and I absolutely love how they turned out.
Donated lampshades, pick up a matching pair. Pick up a thrifted belt. Run a bead of clear glue around the perimeter. Take the other lampshade, place it on top of the other lampshade. Take some jute twine and tie the inner hardware of the 2 lamps together. Give the connected shades a little shake to make sure they are securely connected. Take the belt and buckle it around the skinny center of the 2 lampshades. Add a little glue to the loose end of the belt and secure it to the rest of the belt. Find a thin wood circle disc. Paint the edge with some acrylic paint. And peel and stick wallpaper is perfect for this project. Place the wallpaper disc on the lampshade base to create a brand new accent table.
So I'm going to begin by pushing my air dry clay into the silicone mold and then evening it out with a rolling pin. Once it's all even, I'm just going to very carefully peel it back, take my X-Acto knife and cut off any messy edges, and I'm going to just go ahead and lay my clay over top of the frame, cutting off the excess. Then I'm going to go ahead and make some more of the frame designs using the different patterns in the silicone mold. Once I've done them all and let them dry overnight, I'm going to come in with some E6000 glue. Once the pieces are dried on the frames, I'm going to go ahead and paint them with this DecoArt metallic gold paint. I'm going to be using this green color here just to give this frame a little depth and dimension. Then I'm going to come in with the shade Worn Penny, and I'm going to brush this over top as well. And while these aren't real antique frames, I can take pride in knowing that I made something special with thrifted frames that would otherwise go in a landfill.
The first step is just to make sure this is really clean. To start with, I want to use some gold leaf adhesive. I am just going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. Now we're going to get out the gold leaf sheets. Now you want to use a tweezer and a dry paintbrush with this. As I'm going along, I'm going to use the paintbrush and it's going to pull away any of the excess. And then we're ready to move on to the next step. Now we're going to add some paint, but we're going to paint the inside of this vase. And it has the look of a white ceramic vase with a beautiful antiqued kind of rustic gold finish at the top.
To get the table ready, I'm going to start by giving it a quick clean. Next, I want to give it a light sanding. I want to wipe it again. I like to start with the pedestal first and then do the top. I'm going to add and combine some water with some white paint. To apply the wash, I'm going to use this chip brush because the bristles are natural and uneven. To soften up those lines a little bit, I can wipe them with just a damp paper towel. I absolutely love how pretty this table is now.
So first thing you need to do is find some frames that you like, and you're going to take the glass out. We're going to spray the white vinegar on one side, grab this really cool stuff by Rust-Oleum and go over top. By using your paper towel and dabbing, it's going to create a design. Spray an even coat of the black paint. We're going to put our glass back into the frames. How beautiful is that? It looks like you bought it from an antique store.